The auras are, when the aura is gold, that is Haoshoku Haki. That is Haki of the, Conqueror's Haki.
Yeah. We saw it when Luffy was making a fist in this last episode, I think.
Yes. Actually, it's been happening for a while now. So, when the character... Okay, so here's the few things I wanted to mention about auras. Number one, I think the reason auras appeared is... This is maybe a little bit of speculation on my part, a little bit of fan fiction, but I don't think so. I think this is actually how you're supposed to interpret it. Early on in the series, we never saw the black arms, right? Or like wherever Haki was infused on somebody, right? But that's not to say that it wasn't happening, right? We know that like Enel could use Haki, but he didn't know what the name was. And you know, we saw Aokiji show up and have some throw out some moves and like freeze Robin and stuff earlier on in the series. These are people who are obviously and Garp whenever he was punching someone. These are characters that are obviously almost always in Haki mode, but we never saw the Haki effect. That was because the main characters, I believe, and like you, the viewer, are not aware of Haki's existence. So even though people are using it, it's just not visible to the naked eye, right? And then once we learned of its existence post time skip, now we and the characters, because they have powered up to that level, can see this power in people when they're using it and where they're using it on their body, etc. It's the same thing, I truly believe, for auras. Because auras also, I agree, were not in the manga early on. In the Arlong arc, there wasn't, Dragon Ball Z type auras flying off people. However, in Onigashima, when you do look at individual frames, there clearly is big, giant, streaming auras all around Zoro, right? And so similarly, I think the characters have just gotten strong enough to the point where they themselves emit this energy and can see this energy from people. So it's not that Oda or the anime is ruining anything or adding anything unnecessary. I think it truly is appearing in the world now that the characters are able to see it. As far as the colors go, now this isn't speculation. This is true. I can tell you this. I suppose the general colors of auras can be a little bit random. Like I know that Zoro had purple kind of aura coming off of him. In the manga, it's kind of like it's either black or white usually. Well, it's obviously, right? Like it doesn't seem, because the manga's black and white. No, but it's usually like pitch black or like pure white. Like, and then there's black behind that. It's usually like silhouetted out, I guess is the point. So you can,
or like the black lightning bolts, or
yes. Well, so when that's being interpreted into the anime, if it's not Conqueror's Haki, I think there's leeway. I think that the producers need to get confirmation from Shueisha about like different colors they can use so that completely and utterly wrong colors aren't being used. But I think that like maybe Zora's color is purple, maybe some other characters or is something else. It's just general strength kind of key energy aura. However, once they've gotten to the rooftop, a lot of the characters can now use Conqueror's Haki. And there is a rule. This is literally a rule, I can tell you from the production side. If the character is using Conqueror's Haki, they must glow gold. They have to. Whenever Luffy glows gold, that is when he is like, he's totally in fighting mode and not casual fighting mode, but using Conqueror's Haki to attack the character. The black sparks are also Conqueror's Haki, and honestly, I don't know if anyone knows exactly the difference between like when the gold and the black sparks come out, although I think generally it has to do with the black sparks are whenever an attack is happening, like when Kaido swings, the weapon has black thunderbolts coming out of it. It's like
that's the Conqueror's infused into like your fist or your weapon.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it would be nice if that was like the one
Or like Ryo.
go-to rule. Generally speaking, that's right. Whenever like two characters are clashing with Conqueror's Haki, it's coming out of both of their weapons, and then especially like when they clash, the black lightning bolts shoot out from right in the middle of where their clash is happening. Although there have been a few times, to be fair, where the character just kind of charges up and then some lightning bolts shoot out. So it's not 100% consistent, but glowing gold is Conqueror's Haki, and that's not going anywhere. So in this universe, people can see auras now. They have powered up to that level, and Conqueror's Haki in particular is gold. So here's one interesting comment about Zoro, about my sequence from 1018. When originally I was animating it, I didn't know, and I don't even think at that time the episode director knew what color the aura was, because I think I asked that in the production meeting. What aura, like what color is that aura going to be? Is it going to be his purple? Is it going to be green? Is it going to just be pitch black? Like, just, knowing that might have some influence over my animation. I don't know if it will, but just, do you have that information? And I think in the production meeting, he was like, no, I need to double check. And in hindsight, I think what he had to double check is like, there's clearly aura in the manga, right? Like very clearly there's aura shooting off of Zoro in this scene. But I think they had to check behind the scenes. And again, it might have went all the way to Oda, like to just give a head nod or like a one word answer. Is this Conqueror's Haki, or is this just Zoro's random power up? And I guess the word they got was Conqueror's Haki. So in my scene in 1018, even though in the manga no one has said that Zoro can use Conqueror's Haki at that point, that comes a few chapters later, it looks like he's already emanating it actually at this point, because Toei would have gotten confirmation, no, you should put the Conqueror's Haki effect on him at this moment. They would have gotten confirmation on that before doing it. So that's it. That's that. Like some word came from the top at this moment, even though it's not clear in the manga. In fact, the type of power Zoro's emanating is Conqueror's Haki, and so that then there's no choice. He has to glow gold, and so that's how it goes. So that's the rules, folks. I don't make it. And by the way,
so is the rule that Conqueror's Haki has to have an aura, or the rule is that if there is an aura, it has to be gold?
My understanding, actually, in Onigashima is if they're using it at all, they have to glow. So in the just in the last 24 hours, the animation director Tosan made a post, because a whole bunch of people will no doubt mention this immediately to me as they're listening to this. Recently, he made a post on his he's Chinese, and he made a post on his Chinese social media account. I'm not familiar what
might be Weibo.
Yeah, I think it is that. So he posted on that, and then people translated it into English. And what the translation was like, he had mentioned that he listened to people saying they didn't love the glowing, the super crazy glowing of recent episodes, and so he tempered it down with Tanaka-san for this episode. And that is true. On 1033 this time around, if you notice, he's always glowing. Luffy is always glowing because the rule remained. He has to glow. I was in the rooms where Tanaka-san wanted to take it away, and then but the rule was like, no, it has to be there. But they tempered it down a lot, right? In this episode, it wasn't giant golden screens. It was like a little glow around him, and all of a sudden, someone translated that into English. So now all around the internet is like, the animation director of One Piece announces that they have given into fan demands, and like, we won. And on my timeline, a bunch of people are posting pictures of like fucking garbage pails, and then saying, "This is you, Henry, because you fucking lost. You're garbage, and we all won. And get in the dumpster." And all this shit. Like, we won and you lost. You don't get your fucking auras. And this post by the animation director shows your loss. Well, let me let me speak on that for just one moment. So I actually did ask Tosan, like, hey, did you write that? Like, is from now on stuff going to be tampered down? First of all, the biggest takeaway is he didn't know English quote unquote fans were a bunch of disrespectful assholes. Because I told him, I was like, oh man, everyone's like attacking me because you made that post. And he's like, really? Why? So it turns out like people were respectfully, nicely on his Chinese social media, sometimes like, I would prefer it if maybe, it wasn't glowing so much, but I think you're doing a great job. So when he posted that on that social media, he was talking to them. He wasn't talking to any of the English speakers talking all this bullshit. So all you guys who think you won, you didn't win shit, all right? He didn't even hear anything you've ever said. They didn't even know English speakers being assholes. The animation producer, one of the producers knew, right? Like that I mentioned earlier. But this animation director didn't even know that. Okay, so they've never heard any of your dumbass comments. He was talking to Chinese fans who respectfully a few times were like, I wish you'd tamper down. So his post was talking to them. Hey, I've listened to you and I tampered it down a little bit for this episode. In terms of going forward, will there be giant glowing episodes like some of the previous episodes? My honest answer would be probably yes, because it depends on the episode director. If a future episode director decides, I don't know, I would love it if like his punch just lit up the screen like a supernova. I mean, the episode directors, as I mentioned, basically get what they want, so they'll get what they want. So moving forward, who knows? Tosan, the animation director, and Tanaka-san, the episode director, clearly don't love big glowing auras. Ironically enough, neither do I. If I ever got to direct an episode, I would also just naturally, not because of fan demand, but because just my opinion, I wouldn't go crazy with it. But the rule remains that these auras exist in the One Piece world now. The characters can use them and see them from villains, and they will remain. That's just that. And look at the scale of fighting that this series has risen to. I understand that this series didn't start as Dragon Ball Z, and I like that part about it, right? As a fan, I agree. I didn't need another Dragon Ball Z. I liked One Piece, right? But we really have risen to the level of Dragon Ball Z. Like, have you seen this?
We're practically in Dragon Ball. We're in Dragon Ball Super level here.
Yeah. No.
Oh yeah.
We really are. We really are. And I mean, already the characters are like just being knocked around and blasting through rocks, and auras are shooting out, and they're transforming multiple times in battles. I'm telling you right now, I mean, I don't know this personally. This is just like
we just need a Gum Gum God form now,
dude. I am fairly positive that the final battles of this series will include characters like swinging a punch or shooting a fireball and half an island blows up. You know what I mean? Like, I can clearly see that. I fully imagine Luffy and Blackbeard going at it will include, oh my god, islands are blowing up with individual punches, right? So for all the people saying this isn't Dragon Ball, get it right? Well, I hate to inform you, but these last couple story arcs, it kind of is Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's all I wanted to rant about. For all the people who are just disrespectful and ridiculous, I have nothing. I don't care about any of you. And go ahead, keep your hate. I don't care. Like, I think it's funny. I think it's funny you're wasting your time all day, every day. But for the people who maybe are hearing this for the first time, just be on the lookout for people's ridiculous aura comments. They don't know what they're talking about. And unfortunately, they are kind of giving parts of the fandom a bad name. So just be on the lookout for them. I'm talking to the good ones out there.